21. The street was still wet from the early evening rain. I watched the people scurrying around downtown, some rushing to catch late buses, others just rushing home, hoping to get inside before it rained again. I parked in front of an Ofe bar and wondered if it would be interracial. Quite a few pimps from my side of town were coming downtown, cruising around the bars and copping white prostitutes that they couldn't have gotten next to before the bars integrated. Actually, I wasn't looking for a white girl to cop. What I wanted was for a white whore to hit on me to spend some money with her. That way, I'd have a chance to Georgia her out of some cock. I had 2 envelopes in my pocket, one a dummy, the other empty. If her man hadn't tightened her game up for her, she would be an easy mark to switch envelopes on. The Devil's Den was the name of the bar I finally decided to enter. It was dark inside, so I stood at the bottom of the stairs until my eyes became accustomed to the darkness. The bar curved like a half moon, with a tiny stage set right off from it. I walked to the end of the bar, so as to get away from the blaring noise the mixed group was playing. Apparently the musicians thought the louder they played, the better it sounded. I took the very last stool at the end of the bar. I glanced around, casually. The club was semi-crowded. Most of the customers were coupled off. The only single people at the bar were males. Before I could get up and leave, a woman stopped beside me and asked for my order. I ran my eyes up and down her body until she started blushing. She must have been all of 40 years old, a little under 5'4", a little over 120, with a body that God had built for one purpose and one purpose only, encased in a form-fitting knit dress. Her heart-shaped face, with carmine mouth and huge black eyes, was topped by jet-black hair, parted at the side, hanging long over her shoulders. Even though she was getting old, she still looked like a movie queen to me. As I stared at her, I knew that this was one white lady I was going to stick the goldenrod in. Soon. "May I take your order, please?" she asked, still blushing. "Do you always turn that pretty pink when you wait on a customer?" I asked politely. "Well," she stated frankly, "I'm used to men looking at me, but for some reason you have a very disconcerting stare, young man." "I hadn't meant for it to be disconcerting, miss, but when I saw you, I wondered if in this lifetime I would ever be allowed to pluck the fruit from a woman in the autumn of her years as beautiful as you are." Her eyes lit up. Before she could lower her glance, I saw the hunger in them. She wanted a young man, and I meant to find out just how much loving her capacity could stand. When she brought me back my drink, I held her hand longer than necessary. She blushed again, then looked around to see if it was noticeable. When I turned her loose, she went to the end of the bar, right up under the band, to get away from me. Several times I caught her looking back down the bar at me. 2 could play at that game as well as 1. When I finished my drink, I got up and left. I knew there wouldn't be any chance of ripping her off tonight, but it would go down anyway. I was willing to bet cash money on it. After the loud music in the bar, I really didn't want any more noise. I found the station playing soft music and left it on as I drove through the downtown district. I turned off of Woodward and drove over to Hastings. It was like entering another world. A crowded street, whores working on each corner, drunks staggering up and down the street, filth and poverty staring you in the face no matter where you looked. Once I had loved this neighborhood. Now I only tolerated it as a means to an end. One day, I would drive away and never look back. At the moment, I didn't know how, but I knew that one day I would. I pulled up and parked in front of the trick house Ruby worked out of. 2 girls standing in the doorway stared at me coldly. I didn't give a fuck about what they thought about me. To me, they were just something to be used. I walked past them without a glance and went up the stairs. The houseman opened the door and let me in. The dining room was full of people. A card game was going on the dining room table. Ruby, with her back to me, was pulling on a white trick's arm, trying to pull him away from the gambling and take him into a bedroom. The card dealer snarled at her, "Bitch, I done told you to leave that man alone. Don't you see he's playing blackjack?" There was something familiar about his voice. I stepped up to Ruby and put my hand on her shoulder and stared at the dealer. It was New York. After all these years, here was New York in a trick house in Detroit. There seemed to be a change about him, and as I stared at him, it hit me. His clothes. Before, he had been immaculate in his dress. Now there was a difference, not too noticeable, but still there. As I stared, I noticed tiny dark spots on his gold high-low shirt. Blood.
Well, if it ain't Whoreson. Fatima, baby.
He spoke slowly, with a slur in his voice.
Do you see who I see, girl? Grown tall as a tree. Man, you done come right on up there, ain't you?
Immediately after he spoke, I noticed Fatima standing behind him. If he hadn't called her name, I don't think I would have recognized her. Damn, I thought sourly. 6 years of whoring couldn't have done all that to her. She looked like a bag of bones stuck down inside a dress. Her hair was dry, while her skin had a dead color to it. As I examined her closer, I could see sores on her arm. When she looked at me, she barely opened her eyes. There were the same revealing stains on her dress, blood spots. It dawned on me all at once. Both of them were dope fiends, junkies. I stepped in front of Ruby. I see you still got the same habit, telling other pimps' whores what to do.
Oh, so you're a pimp now, huh?
He said sarcastically. Well, I sure the fuck ain't no dope fiend, I replied coldly. His eyes narrowed, and he shuffled the cards quickly. I removed my large bankroll and pulled off a $10 bill. His hungry eyes followed the roll. I held the bill out to Ruby. Go get us both a drink, baby. She took the money from me and walked back to the kitchen. I edged over to the card table. I watched New York as he dealt the cards around to the black and white tricks. When the player in front of him asked for a hit, he pulled seconds from the deck. I knew then that the cards were marked.
Why don't you take a hand, Whoreson?
Give me a chance to win some of that good whore money
You're so proud of,
he sneered. Some of the prostitutes in the room looked at him oddly. It was seldom that a pimp got in a game that was already rigged to rip off the tricks, unless he was a fool. I stared at the pile of money in front of New York. He had over $200 in the bank. He hit his hand and turned up 21. The other players cursed and tossed their hands on the table. I saw an ace in the discarded hands, so I reached over and began to shuffle the deck.